Strap on your wetsuits and hold on to your butts. Today, we are going to be talking about one of my favorite games out there, Wave Race 64. Wave Race is an awesome jet ski racing game released by Nintendo for the Nintendo 64 in 1996. And you know what that means. First party almost always means quality as far as Nintendo goes, and this one is no exception. Wave Race isn't just about racing your way to championship gold. It comes stuffed with all kinds of different modes and features to delve into and enjoy. Let's first take a look at the rider selection and go on from there.
Select your watercraft, please.
There are a total of 4 selectable riders to choose from in the game, and each one has their own certain strengths and weaknesses when it comes to riding. Ryota Hayami is the most balanced of the 4 riders and is a pretty good pick for pretty much any skill level. Dave Mariner is bigger and faster, but he can take hits without falling over easily, and he doesn't control as well. Ayumi Stewart is the best handling, but is the slowest of the bunch, and Miles Jeter responds the quickest and is best utilized in Stunt Mode. Speaking of modes, there's quite a bit in Wave Race to keep the player busy. On top of the Championship mode, there's also a Time Attack, a Stunt Mode, Warm-Up, and of course a 2-player split-screen Versus. In the Championship mode, you'll pick your rider and race to the finish line on each course while navigating the red and yellow buoys to gain power. The red ones must be passed on the right-hand side, while the yellow ones must be obviously passed on the left. Each one that you pass successfully will end up adding to the power bar at the bottom right of the screen, which makes your rider much faster. If you do miss one, your power will drop down a level, and you can miss up to 5 before being disqualified from a race. The progression in Championship mode uses a points system. You're given points based on your position at the end of the race, and they all total up at the end of each track to determine your overall rank. There are a few different difficulty settings in Wave Race 64, and beating the game on these different difficulties will actually end up unlocking some of the later tracks. What the difficulties really do is add a lot more buoys to a lot of the courses and makes them much tougher to get around. The warm-up mode is a mode that most of us who played this one back in the day remember quite fondly. In warm-up mode, you're taken to Dolphin Park, where you have the ability to get used to and learn the tricks and strategies with no pressure or time limit. It gets really easy to spend way too much time here, since it's a ton of fun to just sort of ride around and try out different trick combinations and jumps, as well as see some horrific crashes. When you're done, you can also jump right into the championship circuit from here. The Time Attack mode is exactly what you would think it would be. You pick a rider and a track, and then race alone while trying to break the course's lap records. Nothing too exciting, but a nice and kind of peaceful diversion from the stress of having to race against 3 others all the time. Stunt Mode, however, is an entirely different experience. In Stunt Mode, you choose your favorite track and attempt to race through rings that add to a score multiplier. On top of that, you also take advantage of ramps and tricks in order to try and go for the top score on that particular track. Keep in mind, though, that you do have to unlock the tracks in Championship mode before they can be used in Stunt Mode. The graphics in Wave Race 64 were phenomenal for the time, and they still look pretty good 15 years down the road. The wave and water physics really steal the show from the characters and backgrounds. Even to this day, I personally think that Wave Race has some of the most impressive water effects in any video game, especially in how the water responds to the racer and the jet ski. All of the tracks in Wave Race are distinct, and each definitely has its own personality. My personal favorite has always been Drake Lake, which has some really neat weather effects. When you start the race, it's foggy and hard to see, but by the 3rd lap, everything clears up, and it's really cool to see the transition. Everything else is very colorful and vibrant. The whole game is very upbeat, and it just kind of puts you in a good mood, and it animates really well, even with tons of action going on. You definitely have to appreciate the sense of speed that Wave Race brings to the table as well. All in all, pretty impressive for a really early title on the Nintendo 64. The sound effects and music in Wave Race are also excellent. The music is all extremely catchy, and even the voice samples are very crisp and clear, which wasn't always the case with a lot of the other Nintendo 64 games. The water sounds are great and even realistic enough to make the most determined racers have to get up for at least a couple of bathroom breaks. Play this one on an empty bladder, it's much easier to get through. Controls are easily the most important part of any racing game, and Wave Race does deliver. It uses a pretty simple control scheme that consists of using the analog stick to maneuver your ski and the A button to accelerate. To do tricks and stunts, most consist of rotating or moving the analog stick in some way and holding a direction while riding, like the handstand for example, which is done by tapping down and then up and holding it on the stick. Barrel rolls and flips can be done the same way but with different directions, like left then right and vice versa. I've got zero complaints about the handling in Wave Race. It feels very natural and makes good use of the Nintendo 64 controller's analog stick. If you've got a Nintendo 64 and somehow managed to pass this one up, do yourself a favor and grab it immediately. In most cases, it won't cost you more than $5 at the most, even online, and will easily provide you with far more than your money's worth. It's upbeat and smile-inducing, just like a lot of Nintendo's first-party titles, and at the same time it does offer the player a lot of stuff to do and quite a bit of challenge, especially on the tougher difficulty settings. Wave Race 64 is a really easy game to get into, although it will take some time and dedication to really learn and master it. In my opinion, it's one of the best games on the Nintendo 64, and it's always a blast to just pop in and enjoy. As always, guys, thank you for watching and subscribing. Until next time, stay classic.
You're the champion! Congratulations!